few incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people get the opportunity to really go inside themselves and to basically look at, again, their motivations, and instead what happens is you have the state, whether it's the state or the federal government, steps in place of the victim and seeks to punish the offender, and so the offender then turns his or her focus or energy towards the state, forgets about the victim. The victim is out of the question now. The state steps in, and so the offender never gets to really, in many instances, really get to focus on being accountable on a very intimate and personal level. The system is set up so that we focus on what is lacking in the offender, not their gifts, their talents, and speaking to their potential as a human being. One of the things that the Second Look think tank focuses on is restorative justice. Okay. So instead of the criminal justice model that we have now that is focused on the offender and focusing specifically on punishing the offender, we look at or embrace a restorative model. And that restorative model focuses on making the victim whole, and it does that. The restorative justice model does that by creating dialogue sessions and other mechanisms to allow the victim to find closure. Often, especially in a crime of violence, but even in non-violent theft and property-related crimes, there's no closure. One thing that the department is big on is education up to a GED, and so that is something that they stress and enforce. But beyond that, there's, for the most part, not a lot of post-secondary education. Federal Pell Grants and New York State, the TAP, Tuition Assistance Program, was withdrawn from the Department of Corrections in 1995, and it was a sad thing. So there was a vacuum. You had people coming to prison with long sentences, and once they got their GED, there was nothing else to really look forward to. And higher education has proven across the country to be the best evidence-based model or program there is. In other words, a person who has, an incarcerated person who has earned an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a postgraduate degree, a master's degree, is a lot less likely to reoffend, to recidivate, to come back to prison. Your thinking is different. It's expanded. Your sense of purpose, your sense of your capability changes. It's a huge eye-opener. We also believe that on a state level, on a New York State level, that we need parole reform. That we asked Governor Cuomo by executive order to come up with or to create a commission on parole. We think that parole reform is long overdue. We believe that public hearings need to be held to deal with the nuances of parole, to deal with the details as opposed to the fear-mongering. Again, the whole goal is to humanize this population, the incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, and loved ones. So we need to talk up these issues, have reading groups, and not operate on an out-of-sight, out-of-mind kind of mindset, because although 2.3 million people are currently incarcerated, as I mentioned earlier, 95% of them will come back to society. So they're not gone. They may be out of sight, but they're not gone. So we need to address and be concerned about what condition they'll come out of, what mental conditions, economic conditions, spiritual conditions. We want to, as best we can, ensure that they come out in a positive condition and not bitter, not angry, not without skills. So again, we have a lot of volunteer opportunities.